Dark room. Baby's been asleep for 10 minutes. You lie down, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Then you hear it. A grunt. Like something stuck. Your heart skips. You tilt your ear toward the crib. A snort. Then a tiny squeak. Then a groan. Then something that sounds exactly like your baby is choking on milk. You're on your feet, lunging toward the bassinet. Baby is lying flat on their back, mouth slightly open, eyes closed, sleeping peacefully. Nothing wrong. You stand there, heart still hammering, too wired to lie back down. If you've ever stood over a crib at 2 a.m., listening to sounds coming out of your baby that you can't explain, wondering, are they okay? You're not alone. And you're not overreacting. Any parent who hears what sounds like choking coming from their newborn in the dark is going to panic. Today, I'm breaking down the 5 types of sounds newborns make during sleep, from grunts to gasps, why they happen, and most importantly, when it's normal and when you should actually call a doctor. And sound number 5. I saved it for last because it's going to change the way you hear those nighttime noises. Instead of worry, you might actually feel reassured. So, stick around. Sound number 1, and the most common, grunting, gurgling, and groaning. Baby is lying still, sound asleep. Then, out of nowhere, a grunt. Then a gurgle. Then a groan that sounds like they're trying to lift something heavy. The reason is simpler than most parents believe. Your baby's airways are tiny. When air moves through a narrow space, it vibrates and creates sound. Same principle as blowing through a thin straw. The smaller the opening, the louder the noise. A newborn's nasal passages are only a few millimeters wide. Their windpipe is about the diameter of a drinking straw. Every single breath has to push through those tight spaces, and the result is a soundtrack you never wanted at 2 a.m. On top of that, newborns are obligate nose breathers. They don't default to breathing through their mouth like adults do. So a tiny bit of mucus, some mild reflux, or dry air is all it takes to add extra gurgles and groans to the mix. Completely normal. No need to suction unless baby's having trouble feeding. Okay, that one sounds annoying. This next one sounds weirder. Sound number 2. Snorting, squeaking, and tiny whistles. Baby is asleep, then suddenly, snort. Or a thin, high-pitched squeak, like a mouse, or a sneeze out of nowhere in the middle of a dead sleep. Newborn nasal passages are the easiest thing on their body to clog. A tiny bit of dried mucus narrows the space even further, and air gets forced through a tighter opening, creating snorts or squeaks. Babies can't blow their nose, so their body uses the one tool it has, a sneeze, to clear the path. That thin whistling sound when baby breathes, as long as it only happens occasionally, not with every single breath, is usually just narrow nasal passages plus a bit of mucus, nothing more. Saline drops before bed keep the nasal passages moist. A humidifier in the room helps too. Dry air is enemy number 1 for tiny noses. Now the one that scares parents the most. Sound number 3. The noise that sounds like choking. Baby is sleeping peacefully, then suddenly a big, wet gulp, like something's caught in the back of their throat. You rush over. Baby's still asleep. No coughing, no distress, but your heart is in your throat. Most of the time, this is saliva. Newborns produce spit but haven't mastered the art of swallowing it, especially during sleep, when the swallow reflex slows down. Saliva pools at the back of the throat, and when baby breathes through it, you get that gurgling or choking sound. Mild reflux adds to it. Milk travels back up the esophagus, common in newborns, because the muscle at the top of the stomach isn't fully tightened yet, creating extra gurgles and occasionally a choking sound when milk hits the back of the throat. Sounds terrifying, but if your baby isn't coughing, isn't changing color, and keep sleeping, their body is handling it. They swallow or clear it with a tiny cough, usually before you even realize. Keep baby upright for 15 to 20 minutes after a feed. Lay them on their back for sleep, the safest position even though it feels counterintuitive when they're gurgly. Real talk. I once scooped my baby up at 3 a.m. because I heard that choking sound. Baby woke up, started crying, and it took me 2 hours to get them back down. Lesson learned: don't rush in. Stop, look, count to 5. 9 times out of 10, they'll settle on their own without you touching them. If this is making you breathe a little easier, share it with someone who needs it tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. And sound number 5, the one I said would change how you hear everything, is right after the warning section. You need to hear the warning first. I'm switching gears here. Sound number 4. I'm not reassuring you. I'm alerting you. When is noisy breathing not normal? Most sleep sounds are harmless, but there's one type of noise you need to know how to spot because it sounds similar to the normal stuff, but means something very different. Stridor. A high-pitched, sharp sound that happens every time your baby breathes in, not occasionally, but with every single breath. This is the most common sign of laryngomalacia, a condition where the tissue above the voice box is too soft and flops into the airway when baby inhales. Over half of all newborns have some degree of this. The vast majority outgrow it by 18 to 24 months as the cartilage stiffens. But you need a doctor to evaluate if the high-pitched sound happens with every breath, not just sometimes. The skin below the ribs or around the neck sucks inward with each inhale. Baby struggles during feeds, chokes while nursing, or isn't gaining weight. Skin turns blue or purple at any point. If you notice any of these, record a video right then. 10 seconds of footage helps a doctor diagnose faster than 10 minutes of describing it. And don't hesitate to call. Nobody judges a parent for caring. And finally, sound number 5. The one I promised from the beginning would change how you hear this. All those movements and noises? They're not a malfunction. They're active sleep, and it matters more than you think. Newborns spend up to 50 to 60% of their sleep time in REM active sleep. During this phase, babies' eyes dart under closed lids, limbs twitch, breathing goes irregular, and their mouth produces every type of sound you can imagine. Grunts, squeaks, gurgles, the occasional little cry. They're not awake. They're not in pain. They're not having nightmares. Newborns don't have the cognitive development for that yet. What's actually happening? Your baby's brain is running at its highest capacity of the day. Research from the University of Iowa shows that during REM sleep, the brain activates motor circuits from spinal cord to cortex. Every small movement sends a signal back to the brain, helping it build a map of the body. Every grunt, every twitch, is a neuron finding its path. Researchers estimate newborns produce roughly 4,800 small twitches per day during sleep. Each one is a lesson for the brain. The nervous system is building itself, and the nighttime noise is the sound of that happening. Remember the opening? You lying down, hearing that grunt, rushing to the bassinet, baby sleeping fine, you standing there too wired to go back to bed? Now you know. Most of what you heard was tiny airways, unswallowed saliva, and a brain constructing itself from scratch. Next time you hear something strange, stop, look, count to 5. And if baby's still peacefully asleep, you can lie back down too. The scariest sound in the dark is actually the sound of your baby growing. 5 sounds. 5 times you want it to bolt upright. And now you know. Grunting and gurgling, narrow airways. Snorting and squeaking, tiny nose, some mucus. Choking sounds, saliva, mild reflux. Stridor needs a doctor's ear. And active sleep, a brain hard at work. You know your baby better than anyone. If your gut says something's off, trust it. But if your baby is making all sorts of weird noises and still sleeping soundly, feeding well, gaining weight, breathe. They're just being a newborn. Babies don't come with a manual. It's just you, with ears on high alert and a heart that wakes up at every unfamiliar sound. You're doing great, seriously. If this video helps you sleep better tonight, drop a like and send it to someone who needs it. Seriously though, if you don't share it, that person might end up Googling baby making weird noises in sleep at 3 a.m. and reading something that keeps them up all night. This video helps someone the most when they're scared. Not tomorrow, tonight. Hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.